Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, September 13th, 2021, and you are viewing the Westwood Select Board meeting. And the call to order pursuant to Governor Baker's June 16th, 2021 order extending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, to allow for remote meeting participation until April 1st, 2022. The September 13th, 2021 Select Board meeting will be conducted via remote participation by the board. We will grant Westwood Media the right to record this and ask if anybody else wishes to record it. Hearing none, we'll move along to the chairman's update. Under the chairman's update, we have a resident of Westwood who is turning 100 years old. We want to take a minute to recognize him. Mr. Charles Aries will celebrate his 100th birthday this week on September 17th. Charlie relocated to this wonderful community 10 years ago after raising his family in Newton for 42 years and then settling into Centerville, Mass. for 23 years. Charlie is a veteran, father to 6 children, grandfather to 20, and great-grandfather to 20 more, with another on the way. His greatest desire has always been to be close to family and is delighted to share Westwood residency with his 2 sons, Ken and Paul, who I'm sure most of you know. After retiring from work as a machinist and purchasing agent, Charlie turned his energies to woodworking, and each Christmas presents his children with holiday-themed gifts. Moving to Westwood, he spent many hours at the senior center playing mahjong with many of his friends. Charlie's looking forward to celebrating his centennial at a party in his honor. So congratulations, Charlie, from all of us here in Westwood. And let's see, moving along, we have Westwood Day to remind you about, which is September 25th. So please mark your calendars now. The list of activities is a 9 a.m. 5K run and a 10 a.m. fun run. Then we have the vendor court and the food court, and that is from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. And the weather will be great just like today. So mark your calendars accordingly. We also have a special town meeting and special town election meeting dates. The special town meeting will be Monday, October 18th. It will start at 4. Registration begins at 4 o'clock. The official business will begin at 5 p.m. It is at Westwood High School Flayhive Field. So please mark your calendars and plan to be present. We will also then have a special town election on Tuesday, October 26th. The last day to register for that is Wednesday, October 6th. So please make sure you register before that. Residents who are registered voters will have the opportunity to vote regarding approval of funding for the proposed elementary school building project. In order for the proposed project to be approved, it will need 2/3 at the special town meeting and a majority vote in the special town election. The next public hearing, or the public hearing for the school, will be on September 20th at 6 p.m. in front of the Finance and Warrant Commission. So if you have questions or you'd like to learn more, please tune in on that evening. We also received a resignation from our town collector. Al Waziaco is effective September 30th. He's held the position for more than 3 decades. I think he said 31 years, and also served as a member on the Aid to the Elderly Commission. He has since moved out of town, so now we have an open tax collector position on the town website. Any interested candidate should email a letter of interest and a resume to the Select Board by 4:30 on September 27th, 2021. Okay, and make sure in the subject line you put Town Tax Collector, and we will take that up at a later time. We would like to thank Mr. Welziaco for his service to the town of Westwood for more than 31 years. So thank you, Al. Scheduled action this evening. First, we have the Martha Jones Elementary School Safe Routes to School lawn signs. And is Donna here?
I am.
Okay, Donna, why don't you tell us about your project?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. So as some of you might know, Westwood, especially the Martha Jones School, participates in the Safe Routes to School program, which is a program run by Massachusetts to encourage students to walk and bike safely to school. I've worked with this program for probably the last 2 years with Todd Corshon, because the program also can help with things like sidewalk infrastructure and safety around school buildings and things like that. So our students participated in a yard sign contest The title of the contest was Be Safe and Be Seen. And 2 Martha Jones students won the statewide contest with the posters that they made for the community to promote being safe and being seen while you're out walking at night. So the state has these signs professionally made up. They put them throughout the state and they gave us 6 of each signs. We had 2 winners. One was Molly Shea and one was Sophia Camilio. They were in 5th grade when they won last year. They are now in 6th grade. And so we have 12 of these signs, 6 of each, to display throughout the town. They are made to be outside in the yard, as they are called yard signs. And so I'm just looking for permission to put them up around town as part of the Safe Routes to School program.
Excellent. Well, that's congratulations. A great job done. Okay, so we need to approve that they can be on town property. So, John, entertain a motion.
So, yeah, I move.
Unless Rob or John, do you have any questions first?
Sorry, no.
No. Okay.
I move that the board approve the request from Martha Jones Elementary School and allow the Department of Public Works to place the safe routes to school, be safe, be seen, lawn signs on public property throughout the town.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Mr. Gotti.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. And I have to tell you, Donna, my wife works for Mass DOT, and she is part of the Safe Routes to School program. So we're more than happy to see that. Yes, yes.
I didn't know that. That's great.
I'll look forward to seeing those signs across town. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it.
See you, Donna. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, so next we have the communications officer. So we have our chief, Jeff Silva. Jeff, you want to tell us about the leadership scholarship that 2 of your members were lucky enough to receive? Still, you're muted, Jeff.
You're muted.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have one
That's
more
right.
to bring in, Mr.
Okay.
McKee.
Okay, let me know when we're ready. You'd think
There
this
we go.
far into COVID that there would be no more technological challenges, but I
There we
guess,
are. You're all three.
okay, it's my fault.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Board Member Hickey, Board Member Gotti, and everyone joining us. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you a little bit about Brian Camp, our Communication Center Manager, and our dispatcher, Sean McKee. Sean McKee applied for a public safety leadership scholarship to get enhanced training and to be exposed not only to the best practices in the industry, but to network with his peers and to bring a higher level of training and education to Westwood here. As most people know, but for those that don't, all the police, fire, and medical dispatch here in town is done at the police department by our public safety staff. It's a very competitive program. Sean was one of only 5 members throughout the Commonwealth among public safety dispatchers in the state to receive this scholarship. He'll attend training down in Florida for 14 days, and the board members should have a small write-up about some of his accomplishments in his biography. And it's very exciting to us. And Brian Camp is mentioned as our communication center manager, not only because he helped Sean identify and apply for that, but also as a great mentor. Brian was a recipient of the scholarship himself a few years back, a similar scholarship where he received communication center manager training. And it's really a great honor for Westwood, quite frankly. If you think about the 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts and all of the people you have working in 911 centers and dispatch centers throughout the Commonwealth that are eligible for this and then apply for this, it's a very competitive process. So I think it speaks very well for the town and the type of employees we have, the type of leadership we have here in town that is supportive of that. That has to be signed on by our town administrator and acting on behalf of the select board to make our employees eligible for this so that they can go away for that training. And it's the second time now. Lightning has struck twice, so to speak, in terms of our staff being recognized. So, without stealing any thunder from anyone else who wants to make any commentary, that's something that we're very proud to talk about. And that's why we're here.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Well, we would like to congratulate you, Sean and Brian, for the work well done. I don't know if you want to say anything. I'll give you a minute if you want to say something, and if you don't, that's okay too. But I'll give you the opportunity. Sean, you want to go first?
Sure. I'd just like to thank everybody for, all this support. I know Communications Manager Brian Camp and Police Chief Jeff Silver, Fire Chief Decker, they've been very supportive in helping me mold career path, help me be successful in the Communications Center. And I'd like to thank Massachusetts State 901 Department, as well as the MCSA, the Massachusetts Communication Supervisors Association, for all the organization to put the scholarship together. Very exciting opportunity. I'm looking forward to attending the training and bring back some skills that I can apply to better support the members of the fire department, police department, and most importantly, the town of Westwood.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Sean. Brian, did you want to say anything? Brian, this is your opportunity. Your 15 minutes of fame, Brian.
Thank you. I just wanted to congratulate Sean. He's an outstanding member of our team. It's well deserved. Like the chief said, lightning struck twice. We won the lottery twice. We get to send 2 people to this amazing training. Sean's going to do great, and I'm really happy for him. I'm proud of him.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure on behalf of my colleagues, we'd like to say congratulations for work well done, and we look great professional opportunities for you. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Brian, I
Thank
think
you very
you're being a little, I don't know, shy there in that, lightning doesn't always strike twice. That's good mentorship, good leadership. And obviously Sean paying a lot of attention. We're proud of you for being as competitive in receiving this award. or in this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Paul.
gentlemen.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. My pleasure. Anytime.
All right, Tish. We now have the Purple Heart Proclamation. So we have become part of the West Suburban Veterans Services District, and we have now moving it to become a Purple Heart community. So I met her today at the Senior Center grand opening, or reopening today. And she said she has teenagers, so she was going to try to get in quickly before they asked what's for dinner. So let's see.
Mr. Chair,
So-
if I may, before Sarat.
Yes, of course.
Just to, again, to remind the board that Westwood is now part of the West Suburban Veterans District. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that. Sarada Capley is the Director of Veteran Services for the district. We also have Nancy Blanchard, who's a Deputy Director. And Sarada is here with us today to talk to us about Westwood becoming a Purple Heart community. Sarada?
I believe I have Nancy as well, but for some
Oh,
reason,
is Nancy here?
can't get her to come in. I don't know if Paul can try. Well,
I don't see her in our
She
attendees.
would be under the, I believe, the WSVD.
BD vets. It won't, it's not letting me pull her in. I don't know if he'll have any luck for some reason.
Well, Nancy, we know that you're here, Nancy. We just
Yeah,
can't
she's
pull you
here.
into the meeting. So.
I can certainly introduce the board to Nancy either later this meeting or at a future meeting. But for the time being, Sarada, would you like to explain the Purple Heart community and the proclamation?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us. So the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration in present use and was initially created as the badge of military merit by General George Washington in 1782. It was the first American Service Award decoration made available to the common soldier and is specifically awarded to members of all United States Armed Forces who have been wounded or paid the ultimate sacrifice in combat with a declared enemy of the United States. The designation would mean the town of Westwood recognizes the sacrifice of people who have served their country, particularly those who are Purple Heart recipients and their families. And the mission of the Military Order of the Purple Heart is to foster an environment of goodwill among the combat wounded veterans, members, and their families, promote patriotism, support legislative initiatives, and most importantly, never forget the sacrifices made. So Westwood is the last one in our district to be recognized as a Purple Heart community, and with great work working together with the town hall and Nancy's great work, we found a living Purple Heart veteran in Westwood.
Excellent. Excellent.
Can I ask a question, Michael?
Yes, of course.
So I know I've entered other towns, and at the town borders, there's a sign that would say, you're in a Purple Heart community. Is there a plan in Westwood, Chris, to do that?
Yes, there's a process that we would have to go through with the Commonwealth. Once the board approves this, we'll go through that process and we would look to have those signs ordered and installed. And also on August 7th of each year, we would be raising the Purple Heart flag and have that flown on August 7th of each year.
Thank you for your work, Sarita.
Yes, I'm sorry that we're last in the group, but that's okay. We'll be in. So. All
Okay,
right,
I
so-
move that the board sign the Purple Heart Community Proclamation and hereby recognize the town of Westwood as a Purple Heart community.
I will happily second that.
Okay. Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Mr. Gotti?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Thank you.
Marana and Nancy, thank you both. Appreciate all your work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so moving along now. We have a 2021 special town election, and we have to vote to submit the ballot question to our town clerk. So, Dottie, I think you're taking the lead on this, are you?
You're on mute.
There we go. Okay. There you go. Oh, no, you're back on mute, Dottie. I don't know what happened. There you go.
We have our ballot question is ready. It's been looked at by our finance director, assistant town administrator, Pam Dukeman, also by our town administrator, Chris Coleman, and our town council, Pat Ahern. And it is ready. Once it's approved tonight by the board, I will then start working on getting the ballots prepared.
Okay. And so the language we have is in our packet.
It's in your
I'll
packet.
I'll
want
read
me
the
to read
ballot
it?
question. I'll read it, Dottie, for you. Shall the town of Westwood be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2.5, so-called the amounts required to pay for the bonds issued in order to pay costs of designing, constructing, equipping, and furnishing a new Paul R. Hanlon Elementary School to be located at 790 Gay Street in Westwood, Massachusetts, including the costs of site work and other costs incidental and related thereto. That's the language. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, a point of order, and it's for Ms. Dukeman. This has also been drafted by bond counsel, correct, Pam?
Yes. Yes, bond counsel does prepare that, and they, do this all the time. They work with MSBA, they work with the Department of Revenue. So even though that language may seem kind of cut and dry and whatever, it's, kind of the standard language that we have to do.
Correct.
Okay. So this is the language that would be on the ballot on Tuesday, October 26, 2021. Okay.
And Pat, this election is held regardless of the vote at town meeting.
That's correct. Once you call the special town election, it has to go. You can't
Go
call it.
forward no matter what.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Rob,
so I
any
move that the
questions?
select board. Oh, sorry.
Just checking, John. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
No questions for me.
Okay. All right, John. Sorry about that.
I move the board vote to insert the following question on the 2021 special town election ballot to be held on October 26, 2021. Ballot question shall read as follows. Shall the town of Westwood be allowed to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2 1/2, so-called, the amounts required to pay for the bonds issued in order to pay costs of designing, constructing, equipping, and furnishing a new Paul R. Hanlon Elementary School to be located at 790 Gay Street in Westwood, Massachusetts, including costs of the site work and all other costs incidental and related thereto.
I will second that.
Okay. Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Mr. Gotti?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So we have the language. We're good. Now we have, moving along, we have our special town meeting to discuss, to vote, to sign and post the special town meeting warrant. Dottie, you're still on.
So you should all have in your packet a copy of the town meeting warrant and also a copy of the town election warrant. And once that's signed by you tonight, once it's approved, this will be posted by our constable, Sergeant Paul Sicard. within the next few days.
Okay.
Ready?
All right. Any questions, John, Rob?
No.
These require wet signatures or digital signatures?
They do require wet signatures.
Wet signatures.
Okay. Okay.
I move that the board vote to sign and post the warrant for the October 18th, 2021 special town meeting warrant, and for the warrant to be posted by the constables throughout town and online on the town website.
And I will second that.
Okay, Mr. Hickey,
Aye.
Mr. Gotti,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Okay, thank you very much. Dottie, will we come to your office to sign them?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's see.
And then once it's posted by the constable, it will also be posted on the website.
Okay.
And Dottie,
So-
so you also need us to vote to post the warrant for the special town election?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I move that the select board vote to sign and post the warrant for the October 26th, 2021 special town election warrant, and for the warrant to be posted by the constables throughout town and online on the town's website.
Mr. Hickey?
I will second that. Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
I vote aye.
Mr. Gotti?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay. That takes care of the election and the town vote. Okay, moving along now. Dottie, you're staying with us tonight. Tonight
I'm
it's
staying
Dottie
with
Powers
you,
night
yeah, I
at the
am.
select board. All right, we have the 2022 federal census re-precincts and new boundary lines. Sounds exciting, Dottie, but somehow I don't think so. So
Well, it is going to be very exciting. We've been waiting for our information, patiently waiting for a while. We finally have it. And I'm also here with our GIS specialist, Tal Siskovsky. And I'm just going to.
yeah, it's easy. Dottie, that's easy for you to say,
I
right?
know, I guess I'm sorry if I messed up that, Tal.
I'm
wanna
sure
give
it's
you
not
a-
the first time, and it
Don't
won't be the
worry.
last.
I'm used to that.
So what I'm just going to give you a brief update, on re-precincting the process, which is a result of the 2020 federal election. And this re-precincting is going to last us another decade, from 2020 until 2030, when the next federal census happens. We just got this draft today. I just wanted to really give you an idea of what it's going to look like for us. And we can, once this is a draft, Tal and I will be working on this. And as you can see, the maps, the different precincts, you can see precinct 1 in the blue, precinct 2 in the darker blue, precinct 3 in the green, precinct 4 in the maroon, red, and precinct 5 in the kind of moss green. And so precinct 5 is going to be a new precinct because of the increase in our population. You can see the little chart right here, the variance of the population difference from 2010. Tish, you can go to the next slide. The re-precincting is following the 2020 federal census results. We were recently informed by the Census Bureau that Westwood's population has increased by 1,648 people over the last decade. That's 11%. It's an 11% change. In 2010, we had a population of 14,618, and in 2020, we now have a population of 16,266. Due to this increase in population, we're now going to set up a 5th polling location, which will be determined. Re-precincting overview. What is re-precincting? It's the drawing of new local district lines. Wards and precincts in the cities and towns within which they're comprised form the building blocks for the larger legislative districts. Districts must be drawn so as to contain roughly equal numbers of residents. This is different from the number of registered voters, and population is determined by the most recent federal census. When is re-precincting done? It's done every 10 years after each federal census. And why is it done? State law requires each city and town to create new precinct boundaries that take into consideration population, communities of interest, and state and federal constitutional requirements, among other considerations. The law requires that legislative districts be redrawn on a periodic basis so that shifts in population will neither unfairly increase nor diminish a particular voter's voice in government. Local re-precincting. Municipalities themselves have the initial responsibility of establishing ward and precinct boundaries, which become the building blocks in determining legislative and local government districts. A precinct is the smallest geographically bounded unit used for state election purposes. A ward is a geographically bounded unit for election purposes, which consists of one or more precincts. So you may have one precinct, you may have one ward that has two precincts. In our town right now, we have 0 wards, we have all precincts. All of our precincts are separate. Establishment of wards and precincts. The town is required to establish ward and precinct lines every 10 years following the federal census if a town contains more than 6,200 residents, which we do, or a precinct contains more than 4,000 residents, or the wards of a city do not contain approximately equal numbers of residents so that each ward's population is within 5% of the average, or a ward not divided into precincts contains more than 4,000 residents. The standards. The law requires that voting precincts established by the town must meet the following requirements. Each new precinct must be composed of compact and contiguous territory without protruding fingers or long tails to the extent possible. Precincts must be bounded by the center line of streets or other well-defined boundaries, such as streams or other bodies of water, railroad tracks, power lines, or other clearly visible geographic figures. And no precinct may contain more than 4,000 residents. Every precinct's population must be within 5% of the average precinct, which will allow for growth. Population for that ward or town, and ward populations must be within 5% of the average ward population for the town. Other considerations. Existing right now, we have 4 polling locations. We have Precinct 1, which is at our Council on Aging at 16 Manhattan Street. We have Precinct 2, which is the Sheehan School, located at 549 Pond Street. Precinct 3 is the Hanlon School, located at 790 Gay Street. And Precinct 4 is the Downey School, located at 250 Downey Street. We are going to have a new polling place, which will be number 5, and that's to be determined. Right now, we're in the initial stages of looking at all of our lines and looking to see where that 5th polling place will be best suited. And also new construction, we need to look at any new construction that would have an effect on the numbers in a polling location not to exceed 4,000 residents. The timeline on this is September 30th is their deadline for a data packet to be released to Westwood from the State Census Bureau. This includes the official total numbers of residents broken down by polling locations and the new precinct boundary lines. October 30th, 2021 is the deadline for Westwood to vote to approve the new precinct boundaries and submit to the local elections review, districts review, which is under State Secretary William Galvin. notice to the public and local officials. Once a redivision has been approved by the LEDRC, the select board must publish a map or description of the new precincts. The map must clearly define the boundaries of the new precincts. Copies of the map or description of the precincts must be sent to the election official and the Board of Assessors. Copies are also posted in public places in every precinct as determined by the select board. Every registered voter whose polling place is changed by the re-precincting must be notified by mail of their new polling place. The effective date of the new precincts will be December 31st of the year of their adoption. All registered voters affected will be sent a postcard with their change of polling location. This will apply to all regular municipal elections, state primaries, and state elections held January 1st, 2022 and beyond. And thank you for your time this evening. We will have more information to follow, and the select board will be, this is a process that you'll be involved in because you will be voting to approve the lines when we have them ready for you. Does
So
anybody
Dottie,
have
the new
any-
district, yeah, the new districts will be in effect by the April election?
Yes, they will.
Yes.
Do you have any questions
Okay.
for Tal or I?
No, so are we over by just what, 261 people? Is that why we're doing the next district? Yes. Okay. So as long as we were under 16,000, we were good with 4, but now that we're over, we need a 5th district. Okay. Yes, Rob?
When was the last time we needed to add a district? I'm just curious as to how that factors into forward planning as you're looking at any new development. Like when Westwood Station was added, I imagine we were already at 4 at that point, so there was no impact there. We had room to grow there. So when was does anybody know when the last time was?
It was before I got involved in local government. It was for the first time I ran for the select board. We've made some adjustments after each census. We've redrawn some lines to redistribute the voters more equally, but we haven't had to add a precinct that I know of in my time in town government.
No, and Rob, to your question as well, so my first experience with the federal census was in 2010, and we really had minimal changes. You know, as Pat said, we may have had just some tweaking on the maps, but so what's going to happen though, because we're looking at this for a span of 10 more years, and we have to make sure that in each polling place, which is why now we have a 5th polling place, we have at least a 5% room to grow, so that we're not exceeding that 4,000 residents. And it's not 4,000 voters, as I explained earlier, it's residents. And I'm sure Tal, I don't know if you want to add anything, but she's been, wonderful, and she's been working. We had a preliminary map that we were working on, and we had an estimate that we had received this summer. But then when the official numbers came out, they were really off. So the state had to go back and re-look at our maps and kind of do some more tweaking.
So Dottie, what would happen if say we exceeded the 4,000 in during the 10 years? Would we have to go back and redistrict again?
No, you can't do it.
Not until the next census tells us that.
Right. And I would find that really unlikely, especially where the numbers right now are, closer to a little bit over 3,000. Am I correct, Tal, with that? When we were looking at the map really quickly today, the numbers really, and what happens is the state is looking at this, the Census Bureau, and they're trying to, put everything in the right spot where they know there's not more than 4,000 people. And they've actually made it so that we have some room to grow as well. And that's what our job is now. And with Tal, she's going to look at it just to make sure.
Can I please add something? Another request is that we won't have a bigger variance of 5% between the precincts. So we can't have one precinct and 3,900 and one at 2,900, for example. So this is another parameter that's being taken into effect.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, John or Rob. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Dottie. Thank you, Tal.
I would just like to add that next meeting, we will have better visual aids. The map will be much more clear and plain, so it will be self-explanatory.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on our agenda, we have a regulatory agreement for 2 affordable housing units, one on Gay Street and one on High Street. So I believe that would be Nora and Lou come in to see us. Hi, Nora.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I believe that Lou is coming in, Tish?
Yep, here he is.
He is. Okay. Hi, Lou. So nice to almost see you. Okay. Nora, you want to take the lead on this?
Sure. So we have 2 regulatory agreements for the board's consideration. One is for 581 Gay Street and the other is for 1215 High Street. Both are single-family homes that have been in ownership from by the Westwood Affordable Housing Associates for several years now. They had been previously leased to tenants, but they had never been listed on the subsidized housing inventory. In order to list them on the housing inventory, there needs to be a regulatory agreement in place and a fair marketing housing plan. So both of those items will be accomplished if we have this regulatory agreement approved by the Select Board and then by the Department of Housing and Community Development. The Westwood Affordable Housing Associates has 2 other properties which you recently approved regulatory agreements for, and a lottery was conducted for those units. There are there's a list that was created from that lottery, which remains viable for 2 years. So if these regulatory agreements are acceptable to the Select Board and to the Department of Housing and Community Development, then the Westwood Housing Authority will be able to draw from the lottery list they already have in order to fill these 2 remaining units. Both are single family homes. I believe both are 3 bedrooms.
Excellent. Okay. Rob, John, anything? Okay. Then
Move the
I'll
select
entertain a
board
motion.
vote that the board vote to approve the submitted regulatory agreements covering 2 affordable housing units on Gay Street and High Street, and to transmit signed agreements to the Department of Housing and Community Development for further approval and recording.
Second that.
Okay. Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Mr. Gotti.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Hey, Lou, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. May I just 2 minutes or 1 minute, just thank you. Yeah, I finally figured out how to put on the video. You might have been better off if I didn't. But thank you. We now have, as Nora explained so well, we now have 4 units in the last 2 years that were not on the SHI. We bought 2 thanks to the town's generosity. And these 2 were donated to the town, but weren't on the SHI. So we're now moving ahead, and we have 4. And we've made DHCD very happy with us, and that's what counts. And thank you very much for your cooperation.
Excellent. Well, Lou, thank you for the work that you do and continuing to keep this on the radar. So thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Nora. We have 2 more, I guess, right?
Yes. For these, I think we have Peter Zaka and Giorgio Petruzziello joining.
I don't see Giorgio.
Okay.
Peter's joining.
So these 2 units are both in the same building at 256 Washington Street. It's actually a mixed-use building. The full building's address is 250 to 256 Washington Street. These 2 units, one is on the 2nd floor and one is on the 3rd floor. The 2nd floor is a 2-bedroom unit. The 3rd floor had previously been used as a 2-bedroom unit, but due to its size, is only eligible as a 1-bedroom unit under HUD guidelines. These 2 units covered by this single regulatory agreement would satisfy the Islington Center redevelopment project special permit that was issued by the planning board in April of 2018. It contemplated these specific units at this address. So this regulatory agreement is drafted in a very similar fashion to the two that you just approved. It makes these units affordable in perpetuity and allows for the same monitoring that's allowed for all of the affordable units in town. And the rental rates are attached to the regulatory agreement.
Excellent. Okay. Any questions from either of my colleagues? No? Pretty standard language. All right, John, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the board vote to approve the submitted regulatory agreement covering 2 affordable housing units at 250, 256 Washington Street, and transmit signed agreement to the Department of Housing and Community Development for further approval and recording.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Mr. Gotti.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Excellent. 4 units added to our SHI.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Peter. Nice to see you.
See you shortly.
Well, you're staying right here, Peter, so don't go anywhere. Next on our agenda is, as long as Bill and Giorgio, we want to keep it compacted so we don't keep you on too long. So, Nora, did you want to talk about this one? I think we kind of know about this, that we've had this in front of us before. This
So
is
I
about the
believe-
timing proposal.
I believe Abby McCabe is joining
Okay.
as well to speak about this. Is she in the queue? No. Okay. Well, so I can explain it along with Peter. We did discuss this at a previous meeting where the board was asked to consider delaying the implementation of the traffic study and the resulting changes to the signalization at Washington and East Street until after the mixed-use building is complete and the condominium units are occupied. The reason we're asking for this is we had 2 engineers, one for the planning board and one for the applicant in 2018, at the time of the special permit, who came into the project to review the traffic and could not agree on what the best procedure was. Those engineers have looked at the project again very recently and determined that they still don't have the data they need to determine exactly what the best signalization route would be. Part of the reason is due to traffic changes due to COVID. Traffic seems to be increasing again, getting back to a normality that we had before, but it's still a little too early to see. And because we are adding additional units, we don't really know exactly what the traffic will be at the end. So we're asking to delay this. The special permit as it's written now requires that the traffic study be completed. And if the select board, after review of that traffic study, requires signalization changes, that those changes be made prior to the issuance of NEC certificates of occupancy for the mixed use building. We're asking that you switch the order of those, allow the occupancy first and make the occupancy contingent upon completion of the traffic study and implementation of any requirements that the select board feel are appropriate after that traffic study is reviewed.
Okay, so it looks like we've agreed on 75% occupancy between lawyers and the town boards. Okay.
That's the recommendation.
Yes. Okay. And we set a date as well. John wanted a date. We do have a date there as well. So that is December 1st, 2022. Okay. John, Rob, any questions or concerns? No? Okay. So a long motion, John.
Okay, I move that the board delay the implementation of the traffic signal retiming study on a trial basis as set forth in condition 3 of the planning board special permit decision dated April 10th.
Oh.
18 for the Islington
Who had-
Village redevelopment
John,
project, which
John-
shall be in reasonable time after the completion of the trial.
John, hold up. Your Wi-Fi went airy right in the middle of it. So if it's all right with you, I'll take it over. How's that? So I'll make the motion and then you guys can second it. I move the select board approve the following actions, okay? To delay the implementation of the traffic signal retiming study on a trial basis as set forth in condition 3 of the planning board. Oh, what happened here? Hold on. And right in the middle, my iPad decides it wants to update. Hold on one second.
Would you like me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead, Rob, because it just logged me out.
That's fine.
How's that?
For the select board,
Go ahead.
so I move that the select board approves the following actions. To delay the implementation of the traffic signal retiming study on a trial basis as set forth in condition 3 of the planning board special permit decision dated April 10th, 2018 for the Islington Village redevelopment project. Until the residential and commercial space at 282 through 298 Washington Street reaches 75% occupancy. Any recommended changes shall be implemented within a reasonable time frame after the completion of the trial and no later than December 1st, 2022. Notwithstanding the above, the following shall be completed by the applicant as soon as possible, but prior to any occupancy permits for the mixed-use building in said project. They will provide and install 5-inch non-louvered back plates with 3-inch retro reflective yellow borders on all ground-mounted signal head housings shown on the attached plan housings E, F, G, H, K, and L. Provide and install manual on uniform control devices, otherwise known as MUTCDs, the 2009 edition, standard R10-12 that are 30 by 36 signs on the existing traffic signal posts located at the southwest corner of the intersection. R10 through 12 sign is saying left turn, yield on green with a green ball below the word green. And then remove and reset existing R10 11B, no turn on red signal, sign forms existing traffic signal post located at the southwest corner of the intersection to mast arm pole at the same corner. I think this was hazing you guys to get me to read it.
Do I have a second?
Rob, can you repeat it? I'll second.
All right, Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Mr. Gotti.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much. Look forward to getting it done. Thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Now we have under new business, we have the release of the second capital quarter. Pam has been hanging out patiently waiting to do this little section.
Yeah, that's fine. Just a quick thing. The select board each year releases the capital that's been approved by town meeting on a quarterly basis throughout the year. This year, town meeting approved $3.8 million in capital projects. Most of that, as was typical, you released for the first quarter, 2.7 million. And that's because departments do a lot of their maintenance work, particularly the schools over the summer months, or place their orders for their larger equipment. So this second quarter, there's just a small list of $198,750 that we would ask the board to release so that departments can go forth and start putting those projects in place.
Okay. So, $198,750. Okay. John, did you want to do that motion?
Do not
Any questions, Rob, or John? No. Your Wi-Fi is acting up, John.
Something is. Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. For the select board to approve the release of the second quarter FY22 capital totaling $198,750. The various departments contingent upon all procurement procedures and checklists are fulfilled.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Hickey.
Aye.
Mr. Gotti.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you very much. Okay, last thing I think that I have here is approval of minutes from our August 30th, 2021 meeting.
But I move that we approve the meeting minutes from August 30th, 2021.
Yeah, I will second that.
Okay. Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Mr. Gotti?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Okay. Now, let's see. We have, that's it for this. Let me go to my... The Select Board will be going into executive session this evening to discuss 3 issues pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for union personnel, discussion of which would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governing body if the discussion were held in open session. The board will not be returning to open session this evening. Our next meeting, let's see here, will be on, why is it not here? Okay. Wednesday, yes, a Wednesday, September 29th at 6 p.m. via Zoom webinar. Okay, so that will be, our next meeting will be on a Wednesday, it will not be on the Monday, as at least I am traveling back from Parents' Weekend at Elon University. I know Mr. Gotti was coming back the day before. So our meeting will be held on Wednesday, the 29th at 6 o'clock via Zoom. Motion to go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Mr. Gotti?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. We will not be returning to session this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Mr. Gotti?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you back on the 29th. Don't forget Westwood Day, 25th.